Hello internet and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. My name's Jack Finch and today I'll be your host as we pit two titans of the sea against each other in What If the Kronosaurus Fought the Kraken? Before we begin this leviathan of a battle, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let us know what fictional fights you'd like to see in the future. Now, in a roundabout way, a Kronosaurus fighting the Kraken is similar to Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. There's only ever going to be one winner. But the fun part is seeing these colossal creatures slug it out over 10 rounds of pure chaos. So, without further delay, release the Kraken and the Kronosaurus. The Kraken, a legendary cephalopod that has terrorized sailors since the moment humanity could row a boat, is a giant sea monster that reportedly rules over the deep parts of the seven seas. The Kronosaurus, the lizard of Kronos, a terrifying giant proto-crocodile named after the leader of the Greek Titans. It lived in the early Cretaceous period and was unrivaled in its efficiency as a carnivorous sea monster. Let's begin by sizing these beasts up. Scientists currently estimate that the Kronosaurus measured around 9 to 10.5 meters, or 30 to 34 feet in length. In 2009, it was also estimated that the Kronosaurus weighed up to 11,000 kilograms. That's about 2.5 times heavier than a Tyrannosaurus Rex just floating about in the ocean. The Kronosaurus maneuvered itself with 4 powerful flippers. Between its 2 limbs were a massive mesh of belly ribs, which provided huge additional strength and support while swimming. Scientists indicate that this would have led the Kronosaurus to be incredibly fast and powerful whilst making its way through the ocean. On top of this, the Kronosaurus had 5 sets of teeth in its arsenal. 5 sets, that's the equivalent of a giant wood chipper floating around the bottom of the sea. There's no doubting that the Kronosaurus was an incredibly capable predator, and evidence suggests that they feasted on sea turtles, large marine reptiles, and even giant squid. Squid? Well, it's not looking too good for the Kraken. But of course we have to remember that descriptions of the Kraken are relegated to ancient texts, and no living evidence of the beast has ever actually been found, leading the majority of scientists to the conclusion that the Kraken plainly just doesn't exist. However, all of those sailors must have seen something, right? Many people believe that the legend of the Kraken originated from sightings of giant squid, which grow between 40 to 50 feet in length, which means already the Kraken squid has the leg up over the Kronosaurus by pure measurement alone. But as we know it, size isn't everything, or well, maybe it is, because ancient texts paint a far different story to the true scale of the Kraken. According to an old Icelandic saga, the Kraken, which they refer to as Hafgufa, was the size of a small island. Descriptions are fairly vague, ranging from the length of 10 ships, which, if we use the 16-meter Viking longship as a reference, is 160 meters, all the way to a more specific length of 1.5 miles long, or roughly 1,600 meters. If that's the case, then the Kronosaurus is pretty much dead in the water. By sheer size alone, we can't even imagine how much the Kraken would weigh. If we go by the Kronosaurus' weight of 11,000 kilograms at 10 meters in length, then a maximum size Kraken at 1,600 meters would rack up over roughly 1 billion kilograms. Now, our math is definitely a little bit off, but that's the equivalent of a couple of New York skyscrapers just floating about in the ocean with teeth and tentacles. How would a Kronosaurus go about trying to even attack that? It'd be like a gnat trying to take on an elephant. It kind of makes sense then when looking at the Kraken's alleged methods of attack. Now, the Kraken doesn't boast any supernatural abilities, poison, or dark magical curses. As we've discovered, the Kraken's true terror lies in its sheer size. Imagine dropping 2 New York skyscrapers into the Pacific Ocean. Can you even fathom what kind of force that would impact on the sea? Every time the Kraken would submerge, the mother of all whirlpools would swallow up whatever's in its wake. Now, we know the Kronosaurus is a pretty strong swimmer, but even they would become mere playthings to the Kraken's pool party. Okay, so things are looking pretty rough for the Kronosaurus. So how about we try and give them a fighting chance? Let's take a look at the magical power of teamwork. Now, paleontology has shown us that the Kronosaurus was incredibly similar to modern day crocodiles, and as recent studies have found, crocodiles are highly intelligent animals that use complex communication tools to hunt in packs. That's right, the only chance that this guy has to take down the Kraken is if he has a busload of friends along for the ride. Now, that might seem a little bit cheap, but come on, this guy's desperate. All's fair in fictional war. If the Kronosaurus was a patient ambush hunter and had carefully orchestrated a detailed, complex strategy to attack scratch that. You know what? The Kraken wins. Of course it wins. It's impossible. Maybe if the Kronosaurus evolved over millions of years into humanoids, discovered atomic energy, built a nuclear bomb, and then nuked the Kraken while it slept on its ocean bed, then maybe, just maybe, the Kronosaurus would win. But no, there we have the answer to what if a Kronosaurus fought the Kraken. The Kraken would win, of course. That's all we've got time for today, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I had making it. My name's Jack Finch, you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions, and until next time, take it easy.